just adjusting the camera. No worries. Alrighty. Hello class. I'm Jarad Bartelt. Today with me I have my roommates Sydney and Riley. I will be talking about community-oriented policing. Alright, so for me, community-oriented policing is a huge method to policing for me, just because I feel like bringing the community and the policing together is huge, and it benefits both the police and the community. So the questions I have. So how can community-oriented policing assist the community, and how can community-oriented policing assist police professionals? So the history of community policing, just wanted to give you guys a quick note here before we start this. It started in 1950s. It did not start in America. So it became a method in America in like the 70s, 80s. And that's kind of a big question mark, because a lot of people do think it started in America. It's meant to develop, developed to increase interaction. So like I said, with community and the policing. So community-oriented policing, or COP, has evolved every year. So we have technology every single year. We have new methods, we have new transportation, lots of different ways that it evolves. And it's also different in each community. So it could be anywhere from Milwaukee, or it can be in a small town, Platteville, or in my hometown in Jefferson. And also most of the programs assist both the police and community, but some programs will assist more towards the police or assist more towards the community. So goals as well for community-oriented policing. So the first one's to build a relationship and partnership, like I said, whether it's between the community, between police officers, between small businesses, or bigger corporations. So improve quality of life. I think that's a goal for any police department. So it just tends to be a goal for this method. And have a positive relationship. Gain back trust with police. And then we also have this video. This video is going to help you. It will help you understand what one police department is doing right now to improve their community-oriented policing.
Enforcement is intense this year, with the presidential election coming after a string of officer-involved shootings, as well as attacks on police.
In Alachua County, law enforcement is making an extra effort to have positive relationships with the community, especially
you guys hear it back there?
youth.
WFT Savannah Collins has been looking at how a new effort will blend in with ongoing programs.
Well, Stephanie, Ryan, it's called the RED Initiative, with RED standing for Racial and Ethnic Disparity. Local law enforcement is getting involved in the community and working to reduce the number of Alachua County teens that get arrested, and also offer better alternatives.
And oftentimes we only see their badge and their uniform and their gun instead of who they are as human beings.
ASO wants to take things old school, a time when community members knew their officers by name. To make that happen, law enforcement is focusing on community events like reading to the kids, barbecues, and coffee with a cop.
So it's everything we can do to make ourselves available to our citizens that we serve, when it's not just necessarily a call for 911.
The RED Initiative first focused on changing policies and then partnering with schools. One of the programs is Youth Dialogue, which lets cops and resource officers communicate with kids from the community.
You want to hold children accountable, but you need to teach them something. They don't need an arrest record, because kids are kids. They're doing silly kid stuff, and they don't recognize that they could possibly have a criminal charge for those types of things.
They often role play where the kids and cops switch roles and act out traffic stops.
Having the young people faced with officers being combative and sticking a phone in their face and making a phone call and those kind of things, it really helps the young people see what it's like for them in their day-to-day activity.
Officials say in 2012 the number of juveniles arrested was in the hundreds, But after this year, it's down to 26 criminal charges.
We've all done something in our life where if we got caught, we might have been arrested. And so we're looking at how do we keep kids in particular out of the criminal justice system long enough so that they can learn some other skills of how to, fulfill their own goals and dreams and to move forward.
Local law enforcement's goal is to be standing side by side with the community and have buy-in from everyone on policing practices. They hope to find an easier way forward for everyone by finding common ground.
Alright, so once I get out of this thing. As they mentioned before, kids are kids and they are going to make mistakes. And press this button here. So kids are kids, and no matter what, there we go, they will make mistakes. So this is all about a learning opportunity. The chief with Platteville Police Department right now, he's told plenty of his officers that it's good to enforce, but if you pull someone over right now, especially with this whole COVID situation, everyone's at edge, low on money, and it's just not a whole good situation. If you have the opportunity to educate the community rather than enforce the laws, that's great. And yeah, obviously if there's some big problem where you do need to enforce, that's going to happen, but if someone's going 8 over, they would much rather just educate them and say, okay, probably not a good location, there's schools around and there's playgrounds, and at this time, obviously kids aren't there, but in the future kids could be there in the playgrounds. So type of programs, a lot of these programs I'm going to talk about in this presentation today, but there'll just be a couple that I will kind of give a good overview as to why it's considered community-oriented policing. So obviously community service officer, school resource officer, citizen police academy, the internship program, foot and bike patrol, and then there's high-risk training, so school, bank, and then there's also businesses as well that will be asked to do high-risk training, or will ask the police department for high-risk training. Drug education, social media, this is what I kind of want to talk about here. A lot of people don't really think that Facebook is, or like social media in general, is a good community-oriented policing, but Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, they haven't really hit Snapchat yet, but YouTube, all these things, that's what, if there's a police department on these social media web or platforms, it's huge for the community just to see like what they're up to. So police departments will always take pictures of when they get donations, or take pictures of an officer playing basketball with kids. Not just recently, probably about 5 years ago, there's a officer for Platteville that just saved a kitten on 151, and this big story hit. It actually went all the way into news in Milwaukee and Madison as well, of this officer saving the kitten, put him up for adoption. No one wanted him, and the officer ended up adopting the kitten, still has the kitten to this day. So it's just kind of like neat just to see that these officers are human, and they are they make mistakes, but it's also neat just to show kind of that name with the badge rather than just seeing a person and driving around in the car. And then we also have specialized police training programs. So every department, I don't know one department that wouldn't encourage you to do different trainings, whether it's child neglect cases or just be a part of like FTO programs or any type of training. If you ask your chief, I'm sure the chief would be like, go for it. All right, so school resource officer and positively assisting the community. So I'm going to ask you guys, what would be a benefit for a school resource officer?
For what? Like,
what's a benefit of like having a school resource officer?
Just having a school resource officer. It's a close person for students to talk to rather than a formal police officer. It's somebody they see every day in the school, and it's somebody they can trust more.
Okay. Sydney, do you have any thoughts to add?
It's probably a lot easier for them to do the more community-oriented policing because they're right in a little community, which is whether it's like an elementary school, middle school, or even high school. They can help out that community and get closer to that community too, and kind of open up doors for them too. So
Okay, yeah. So, first of all, it's to get conflict mediating. So, victim offender or restorative justice practices. So, like for example, if we have a kid that gets bullied by another kid, you can sit those two guys down and they can have good conversations as to, hey, probably not a good idea, this is how I feel. It kind of sounds like a third grade-ish type of style, but this works in high schools, it works in middle schools, and it works all the way up in prisons as well. So this is just a great way just for kids to understand that, hey, what I'm doing is not correct. And then there's after-school club/programs. I have heard from other students, personally, my high school never had a school resource officer, but I've heard from other students that they've had, when their school resource officer was available, they've had criminal justice programs, or they've been in charge of like the Explorers programs. So this is, again, just a great way for students to even be involved and possibly even gain an interest as a police officer. And then positive role models, like Riley said. So this is great because you can have a father or mother figure with you, because some kids sadly do not have a father or mother figure, and they might be looking up to teachers or police officers to fill that role. So, all right, so high-risk training, positively assisting the community. So these are, so you can prepare them in schools and banks. Kind of a quick side note, my internship coordinator or internship supervisor, he was in charge of that for Jefferson County. So he would go to all the banks in the school district or in the county and say, hey, or he would go to the banks and schools and say, hey, I'm able to train you guys if anything does happen, unfortunately, as to how to solve these issues, or how to, handle these issues if they ever do come up. So kind of he has also done a lot of like businesses as well. So it's a better chance for less casualties. That's obviously would be a main priority. Makes community members aware of social media. So you might have a employee makes some threats, and these workers might not really even pay attention to this until they notice, like, hey, this might be a sign of something bad might be happening. So again, this is just all training that can happen. And then makes people think on their feet. So give scenarios they might not expect. Obviously, you're not gonna like have a planned out scenario as to what could happen if there's a bank robber. This is gonna give the employees a good chance as to how can they contact the police, or how can they help in this matter before the police even get there, and even how to like talk to the robbers as well. And again, give first aid training. So that's also my internship coordinator also gave first aid training, because you don't know if someone's going to be hurt during any of these situations, whether it's going to be kids in schools or just one of your employees at a bank or other business. And then there's drug education programs assisting the community. So there's DARE. DARE programs, I think they've kind of started to go down now, but they used to be in almost every single school. I'm talking about drug abuse resistance education. So it's more targets the youth, like this says here. So whether it's from kindergarten all the way up to high school, and it's a positive interaction with the youth. This is great because officers, just like a school resource officer, which many school resource officers can be DARE teachers, I guess. This is great just because they're able to interact rather than a negative part in the community. And then the two main benefits: reduction of crime and educating the community. Another thing that I wanted to note that for these DARE instructors, they have to be specialized training, they have to go through classes, and they have to get certified every single year in order to continue this education. It's not just like a random police officer off the streets telling kids not to smoke or do drugs. So, yeah. All right, so Citizen Police Academy, positively assisting the community. So for you guys, what is the benefit of Citizen Police Academies?
I think it gives citizens the abilities to do some of the things that police officers are able to do. Give them those skills and better equip them to handle situations that can be handled when a police officer isn't there.
Mm-hmm. Sydney, anything to add?
I was just gonna say having like a citizen police academy can train them to help with situations that maybe don't necessarily warrant an actual police officer, or just help with the call load or whatever it might be, especially in like bigger cities where they might not be able to get to everything they want to. Having a citizen help out with that and get trained in that might help.
Exactly. I mean, that's obviously they're citizen members, so this is again another great resource as to first aid training. This is also good because some citizens, when they might call in and say, hey, I have a driver, or I have want to call in a complaint about a driver, and that's all they're gonna give. Hey, it's a red car. But they might know that, okay, they need these license plate numbers. They need how many people are in the car. They need to try to get the description of people in cars. How many doors is the vehicle? So this is all kind of like the police officers will tell them, and this again will help them and just build a relationship with the community. And then can you guys kind of guess how many students are in CPAs, and then how many weeks would the program be? Any ideas? This is all estimate. Each program is different.
Like per community or per?
Just like a generalized community or citizen police academy. How many people do you think will be there? Students.
20.
That's what I was gonna guess is 20.
Okay. And then how long do you think courses will be?
2 to 4 weeks.
I was gonna say 4 weeks.
Okay. It's actually 20 students, but
Hey, got it right.
But it's on the average about a 10-week course. So this is they'll do about like 1 or 2 days a week, and it could be 2-3 hours, sometimes in the morning, sometimes at night, to do nighttime activities, I guess. So it's just kind of works around with other people's work schedules. It's normally done at night or early in the morning, like I said. All right, and then this is a better understanding for procedures, guidelines, responsibilities, demands, policies, and laws. So it's, yeah. And I think this is kind of a great standpoint as well, where they humanize law enforcement officers. Again, this is where you're getting the police officer out of a vehicle, you're getting the police officer out of a traffic stop, and you're building this relationship where it's a positive role model, or just a positive person to interact. And this is now next time these three will see each other. They could see each other at a grocery store, and instead of just saying hello officer, you can say hello officer so and so, and then he'll be able to interact and say hey Jim, or whatever his name is. And then we have one video but two clips with them.
The reason we wanted to get involved in this Citizens Police Academy was just to have a positive way to reach out to the community members and help them kind of understand sometimes why the police do what they do. And there just seems sometimes to be so much misunderstanding as why did the officer do this or why did the officer do that, and it's just a good way to show, take 13 weeks and show them different segments of what we do as police officers.
Do things. I do it, copper, I do it, right?
The training we go through and that our officers go through on a regular basis. And really, it's just a way that we can create a positive relationship with our community. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to do, is engage the community in positive ways to leave it a little bit better than we found it. What we taught here tonight in our segment of the Citizens Academy in Farmington was defensive tactics, which consisted of handcuffing and how an officer approaches and handcuffs a suspect, basic self-defense if someone wants to fight with you.
Now, if he's got a gun, he's changed up a little bit in the fact that I'm not just going to push him out of the way. I'm actually going to detach myself and control that good. Okay? All right, so
we covered pepper spray, taser use, and we even had students that volunteered to be tasered.
Taser, taser, taser. 3, 2, 1. Ah! Okay.
wanted to show that clip for you guys so you can see someone get tasered. Also, so I have a kind of an ending clip of what this chief also appreciates from the Citizen Police Academy. A good thing that they noticed was these people are you have to apply for these type of CAT classes. It's not just like you come once a day. This is like you have to be invested into these type of programs. So this is just kind of what the chief says afterwards after the program. And it kind of shows you what he finds as a benefit for the program.
And I couldn't breathe and I'm trying to scream.
It's benefited us because we've been able to meet some really wonderful people, and you know, I think we've gained some strong allies to help others understand there's reasons sometimes why the police do what they do, even though it looks like that was maybe not really good. We'd love to have more people come sign up and go through the course.
So like he says, there's reasons as to what police do and why they do it. And it benefits them just by meeting new people. I think is one of the biggest benefits. Okay, so then another thing, how community service officer programs assist the police. I am or was a CSO, and we have the video coming up.
That prompt sound of a taser being fired and the inevitable cries of pain that followed from recruits of the Federal Police Department's academy marked their 8th week of training. It was just prior to Thanksgiving, and the recruits of Academy Class 59 underwent certification for both using the taser and...
Alrighty. So, like I said, I was a community service officer for these type of programs, and this is what we helped with. So vehicle lockouts. This is just a way in case people lock their keys in the car. Home security check. So if Grandma Karen is across the road who is going to Florida for 2 weeks or 2 months, or 2 weeks. Sorry, my Grandma Karen always goes to Florida for 2 months. So she utilizes these programs. So this is just the community service officer is going to walk around the house. They're going to check, is any damage to the house? Can you get into the doors? Or just things like that. This is also a good thing for like if people pass away, where families are able to check on houses. I have found 3, 4, maybe 5 houses where the doors have been open, and you just call a police officer and have the police officer then handle the situation. Luckily, nothing been bad. People have forgotten to lock the house. This is again, they assist with parades. So you assist with closing down roads. You assist with putting barricades up. I always assisted with the 2 parades that happen in Platteville. Again, it's just a great way just to see you're in uniform. The community is able to see you, and writing parking citations. Yes, I write parking citations. We'll just leave it like that. And then any other task, basically, that can help the police officer out. And this keeps police not as stressed. So they can get called to a domestic abuse case, but before that, there might have been a vehicle lockout. So this police officer has to go across town to this vehicle lockout if there wasn't a CSO on duty, and then do this vehicle lockout. While this vehicle lockout's happening, they get called to a domestic abuse case. So this just kind of limits their chances to get taken away from more serious situations. And again, humanized police. So you're able to see these young community service officers grow into police officers. So as a community member, that's huge to be able to see them grow. All right, so specialized police training, positive assisting police professionals. I use the child neglect training as an example. So this is a better understanding the resources out there. If a police officer goes to these trainings, they're able to basically understand how can they help A, the child, and B, the victim as well, the other victims. It also helps officers interact with children and not criminals. So I bet you 99.9% of these officers would rather interact with a child than a criminal. They would rather see the good out how they interact with a child than some criminal yelling at them. And also better understand the child welfare system and the overlapping issues affecting each system. These trainings will help assist you with what resources are out there, and help assist you with how some victims might be better than in these programs than others. All right, so internship program assisting the police. So I was an intern, and it was a huge benefit for me. So police can shape the students. They're able to, they're able to just say, this is how I do these traffic stops. This is why I do this traffic stop. These are the things I look for while I'm driving. Police can show leadership towards a student. So maybe there's this police officer that's interested in being a sergeant one day. And yeah, it's silly to say that you can show leadership over just a college student, but it's still huge just to have some sort of leadership, and maybe your administrator will notice that. Gives the students experience. So this will give students experience, which could potentially they could apply for that same department. So whether it's just experience through how to write a citation, or talking on the radio, or just interacting with victims or offenders. And then you can also have projects for students. So I had a big project where I had to help with the farm technology days of Wisconsin. So kind of a big thing in Wisconsin. So basically we were in charge of security and parking for that whole event. So my internship coordinator and myself we were working on that 24/7, it felt like. And then we also do ride-alongs. Every day I did a ride-along for about 6, 7, 8 hours. So again, it only gives you experience. And just a small final recap. So community-oriented policing can assist both the community and police professionals. It can also assist businesses and other local establishments. There's many different community-oriented policing techniques. And it can be different for each community and police department, so not all programs are the same. I have some discussion questions for you guys. So what do you guys think, what community-oriented policing programs would work well in your hometowns? I know you guys are both in the same hometown, but maybe you guys are on the separate side of town.
I think bike cop would be a good one for Janesville at least, and Platteville especially.
Which we do have.
Do you guys have a bike cop?
Correct. They actually have 4 bikes that they have.
Okay.
So
Nice.
Yeah.
and everyone's trained on how to ride the bikes.
I think it's important for people in the community to see the person not in a squad car, and it shows that the person isn't just a fucking robot. Sorry, excuse my F-bomb. Isn't just a robot handing out tickets or whatever. They're actually a person, and they're showing that side with the bike.
All right, Sydney, any ideas?
I know like Janesville has, I think it's called the Explorer program or whatever, where like kids who may be interested in becoming a police officer can do ride-alongs with the police officers. I like that program. I think it's good. I think that the Janesville Police Department though could benefit from maybe having more internship opportunities too. Just to help out maybe even local college students that maybe go like to the University of Wisconsin Rock County or something like that. Could help. Yeah, so maybe an internship program,
Okay.
or at least a more advertised internship program.
Okay, awesome. And then another thing, last question: do you think there are any negatives to community-oriented policing?
It makes police more exposed
Mm-hmm.
because they don't know what they're getting themselves into when they approach anyone.
Exactly.
It is possible that maybe even this is probably more the case in smaller towns where maybe the police officer can be more of a friend to a fellow community member, and they might almost get, if the police officer has to more so enforce than educate, the citizen might become angry or whatever and be like, well, I thought you were my friend. So sometimes professional boundaries can be kind of hard to make sure you're still keeping those boundaries.
Yeah, the citizen might try to almost use the police officer as a friend rather than a local figure. And then it's Kahoot time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see if this pin. Sorry. I apologize.
Okay, so you guys can join.
I beat you.
I know you did.
All right, and there are 2 players. All right, and I would turn on the music, but we have this random guy talking about tasers right now. So,
This is still.
what year did community policing start? So 1940, 50s, 60s, or 70s?
What was the time?
Didn't remember.
All
Didn't
right.
remember.
What was the first one?
I didn't remember.
So obviously Sydney was not paying attention during
I'm
the start of
sorry.
the
I
presentation.
didn't remember.
All right, question number 2.
I didn't remember. Ooh,
Double points. What is not a goal for community-oriented policing? To improve quality of life, build positive relationships, gain trust with the police, and to put people in jail. Nice job. That was a quick one. And 3, question number 3. Again, double points. I think these might all be double points. So what is a community-oriented policing program? SWAT team, a K-9 team, school resource officer. There we go.
I'm trying to be a...
Okay, so true or false this time. A school resource officer is an actual officer. They are.
Woo!
So a lot of the times too, these officers, they have 2, 3, 4 year basically contracts almost, where this is their like assignment. So Platteville is starting to get school resource officers. The new officer that will be the SRO will be with the school district for only 2 years, unless if they decide to go longer. So again, they want to keep rotating that, just in case if this officer, you don't want this officer just to be put in the schools the rest of his career or her career. You'd rather have a new face for these students every couple years.
I'm very far behind.
All right.
Crap. Oh, multi-select. Oh.
So where can high-risk training take place?
It's a multi-select.
Tough question here.
Hey.
Actually, all the questions are correct, so you could have clicked anyone.
That's what I was thinking.
How do you have so much more points than me?
My
All right. And what does DARE stand for? So, Detention and Rehabilitation Experiment, Dangers Against Roofies Education, and you guys chose Drug Abuse Resistance Education. All right, and about how many students are in CPAs? Hopefully you guys remember this because you guys both got it correct.
Oh, does he not remember? Oh.
And 20 is correct. All right, 8 out of 10. What is a task a CSO can do? Traffic stops, domestic violence disputes, crash investigations, or vehicle lockouts. You are correct. So Sydney has been paying attention to towards the end of the
Yes.
presentation. What specialized police training was discussed? Field training officer, child neglect training investigator, or hostage negotiator? Again. Alright, so Riley won this one. Let me just click right over here. Alright, so here are my enhancements, PowerPoint, video, Kahoot, and then the questions I asked during the presentations and that discussion. Alright, and I thank you guys for these presentations.